Welcome to the DickeyDines Show.
God, it smells like Danny DeVito's underboob.
What's up, you Dicky Diners? Welcome to podcast number 7, I think. 7 or 8? I think it's 7. I think it's 7. We are going to be joined today by our good friend, my manager and vocalist of Dragged Under, Anthony Cappocchi. We're going to be talking about business. We're going to be talking about his band, The Scene, the metalcore scene specifically. Maybe a little bit of drama in the metalcore scene, some stuff that has been coming up recently. So make sure to stick around for that. Before we jump into that, just want to let you all know that we do have a Patreon. If you want to subscribe to the Patreon, we really do appreciate it. If we can get 500 patrons, me and Austin will be doing a 5-song EP. So that's a goal that we have set. So if you want to see some new music from us, 500, we're like halfway there. And yeah, it could be just $1 a month or $5 a month. There's different perks. There's different tiers. One of the tiers, you can get your name on the wall behind us in every episode of DickeyDines Show that we do while you have an active Patreon subscription. And we really do appreciate it. It helps us to pay our camera guy, and it helps us to continue to make more content. We also have merch, which is actually the sponsor of today's video, which is Pretty Good Branding. Pretty Good Branding is a printing and branding agency, which is owned by our good friend and my manager, Tony. They specialize in large format printing like backdrops, table throws, tent tops, flags, and of course merchandise for your band or business. They've made backdrops for some really cool bands such as Powerman 5000, Pierce the Veil, Atreyu, Asking Alexandria, The Used, etc. So they're very reputable, and Tony's a very, very good guy. So it's good quality. They even printed all of the merch for Scion, and they will be printing all the DickeyDines Show merch. So we trust them with our merch needs, and you should too. Right now, they're running a special just for our viewers. Visit www.prettygoodbranding.com using the link in our description or pinned comment and submit a quote, and they'll give you 10% off your order when you mention the DickeyDines Show. Only if you mention the DickeyDines Show. So, what are you waiting for? Head over to prettygoodbranding.com and send them a message for your next merch order or print job. Without further ado, thank you so much, Pretty Good Branding, for sponsoring this video. Let's get into the podcast.
I can't believe all that CGI.
Hey, what is up, Tony?
What up?
Cappocchi? Dude, I haven't seen you in a minute.
I forgot my water, dudes. How are you?
Good, how are you, man?
I'd be sick if you paced the
I don't know
whole.
where my water is. Other than that, I'm chilling.
Yeah, where are you right now?
He's lost
I'm in the
Home
shop.
Depot.
He's in the shop.
Yeah.
I got lost in the home. I don't know.
I'm in the shop. So at the new spot, I have like a. Well, okay. Maybe you know this. You're kind of from the country, but like we have
A little bit,
shops, right? Which are basically just like garages, but they're bigger.
Yeah, I know what a shop is, you fuck.
That's no preface to that. You're a bit of a redneck, huh? You've had sandwiches?
Dude. Because people think like, oh, it's a shop. Like I own like a mercantile store.
Mercantile?
But I don't.
I don't even know what that is.
Your references are so obscure.
Mercantile?
I don't even know what mercantile is.
What happens when you're educated as hell?
Or was that an
What's up with you
expensive
guys?
thing? Maybe
How
your
we
tastes
doing?
are different.
Dude, we've been good, man. We've been chilling. We've been doing the DickeyDines Show stuff, and I've been editing the Musician Mansion show, and just work, you know, as the song goes.
That, dude.
Work.
Man. I've been really liking the podcast. It's a cool new format for y'all.
Yeah, thank
I've
you.
got a great surprise for you. You're on it right now.
Oh, no way, dude. Ashton!
Fan of the show.
All right, let's jump.
Long time listener, first time caller. So
Let's jump into this. So, everybody, we'd like to introduce Anthony Cappocchi. He is a good friend of ours. He's been a friend of ours for 10 years almost now.
Who's counting?
He was in Rest Repose back when we were doing that. He is now the vocalist of the band Dragged Under, and he has his hands in all kinds of business stuff. And he's a very, very talented musician and very good businessman. So we're glad to have him on.
Yeah, highest credit score of the podcast so far.
Tony,
probably.
do you want to give us a brief summary of your career story? I guess kind of starting from Rest Repose to where you are now, and kind of how you got to be where you're at.
I've actually heard this story, so I'll just let's check it out.
I think you were probably there for most of it.
I was there for a little bit. Yeah. Ex Zoomies manager turned heart metalcore vocalist.
Yeah, that's pretty much how they all go. Sometimes it's the other way.
Or the other way around, you know. Start as the vocalist.
They retire from metal and go to Zoomies because it's the only place that'll hire them. I dabbled in retail for a long time. I think that was kind of like where I cut my teeth doing sales and management, if you will. I was managing like, a clothing store. But still, to some degree, you have like you have people, personalities to manage, you have products to manage, stuff like that. So that's kind of what got me interested initially in, doing like stupid things like clothing brands or, running like merch websites and stuff like that. But yeah, the like creative management thing happened obviously just because you and I became friends, and I was working at Positive Grid, and then I got let go. And then I was like, well, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do. And at the time you were like, dude, I need help anyway, so just come work with me. And then that's kind of where that whole thing started. And that's just kind of what I've been doing since. There was like a lot of deals that would come your way that were maybe not brands that didn't quite have like the right budget for what we wanted to do, or they weren't a good fit for the channel. And basically, instead of just being like saying no, bye, I basically got your permission to like shop them to other people, and you were like, yeah, I don't care. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where the agency got started. Otherwise, it would have just been like managing one creator, which would be fine. But like as you know, sometimes that one creator doesn't want to create, doesn't feel creative. So it was kind of important that like I was able to spread out a little bit and make sure that I had like a breadth of people I could work with when other people decided, hey, I'm not working right now. And it's funny because in like the last week, I think like 4 of like the people that I work for as an agent have been like, hey, I'm not doing deals for like 4 months. And I was like, okay, cool.
I kind of said that to you at one point too, I think.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think on top of just being like, yo, I'm not going to make videos for a while. I think there's been multiple times I think where you've just been like, no deals for right now. And we've just been like, all right, cool. So we just hit pause, and people come to us and we just go, yeah, hey, he's chilling right now. He's not trying to promote Raid Shadow Legends this month.
Stevie T though, he's always down to promote some Raid.
He's a workhorse, dude. He's a workhorse.
So how many people are you doing that for now? What's your client list?
So we've kind of started to do like, we have exclusives, right? Which is like you, Stevie, DickeyDines, like people that it's like, those are my guys. And then we have non-exclusive. So those are the people that are like, we just started working with, I just had a conversation with the guy.
Big Pharma cut him off. Who have you been working for? Jeffrey? Tell us.
Wait, oh no, do we freeze?
Yeah, you were like, I've been working for it, and I went, I was like, who are you working for? It's too big.
You'll never know. Yeah, it's a channel called Hacksmith Industries.
Okay.
So they do like all sorts of ridiculous shit. They have like 14 million subscribers. I just had a really cool call with him the other day because they kind of do the same thing where they will like push deals off to other people that are not where they expect them to be. Because for some of these channels, you're talking about 6 figures, right? Like just to have a conversation.
Jesus Christ.
So they were getting that same thing where they were like, oh, well, we can't, like most brands can't meet this ask. So we're going to have to do this. And so I had a conversation with them and picked up like 10 new people. I have one guy called Peter Santinello that I've been working with for like 2 years, and he's really taken off right now. He's done like 30 million views in the last month, and
nice.
He uploads like twice a week or something. His videos have been really fun, and I don't know. I mean, obviously I love musicians. Like that's kind of where my heart is, and I want to help those people, but so few of them are reliable in terms of like wanting to upload and wanting to be content creators. And that's cool too, because like some of them will like email me like, hey, I'm taking a step back from this as a whole. Like I want to focus on being a musician. And I'm like, yeah, cool. That's rad.
And then they come back once they make no money.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of what I tell them. I'm just like, sick, dude. Like obviously follow your passion, but be careful about abandoning this thing that's making you money. Like it's tough to just it's like quitting a job before you have a new one, right?
Yeah.
Just like,
oh, for sure.
I'm fucking out of here. I don't even like Red Robin. And then you're like, I'm free. And then nobody else will hire you because they call your references or whatever. And they're like, yeah, you quit without notice.
Yeah.
You forgot you don't have free burgers for life.
Yeah, exactly.
My lunch today.
Stop eating people's leftovers.
It's like dating a 7 because you want a 10, then you end up with a 4.
It's like, yeah, I know. It's like cheating on a 7 with a 4. And ending up with nothing.
Yeah, for real.
But yeah, it's
11
cool. I mean,
is the answer.
I want people to do anything that makes them happy, but I've seen it a lot where people will just stop doing a thing that's prudent and that makes them money to pursue something that makes them happy. And then they don't have, like, maybe they're happy, but I think generally a lot of people don't really know what they want. And so they'll chase things they think they want, do those things, realize that doesn't make them happy either. And now they don't have a job or happiness. And you're just like, well, fuck.
Yeah. Are you happy with what you're doing with Dragged Under and the music and your business? And you just moved out into the country yourself. You have are you set up in your new house yet?
Yeah, almost. Today we finally just like my dad and I flew him out because anytime I need help with something, I fly my dad out just because he's like the dude I know that knows how to do stuff. You know? Like he knows how to measure stuff and drill stuff. And
you're never too old to need your dad.
The two things you call him for: measuring and cutting. You don't need any. Like,
well, it's funny because you know how it is. Like you'll be like, "Oh, I want to put something in this wall," and you'll just start drilling and be like, "That's not a stud."
He's like, "Wait, hold on a second."
Yep.
I've been a musician too long. Where are the studs?
Yeah, dude. No, I think generally I'm very happy with the move. We moved out to the east side of Washington just to kind of get away from the city and get away from city folk and kind of just be alone and not be bothered. I miss my friends a lot. Like I don't really have like a friend group here. The dudes I like to hang out with, like he's a dad too, and he's a little older, but his brother will come into town and like we'll go golfing and stuff like that. But I'm also gone so much, dude. Like this last couple months, I've been home like 2 weeks over the last 2 months, I think.
Yeah.
So it's,
and that's because of Dragged Under going on tour and stuff.
Yeah. So where I am doesn't really matter, like in terms of like where my home is, because I just leave and come back. So, but yeah, generally we're close to Chelsea's family, like her brother and I do trivia a lot. And that's fun. Like I built a schedule. I joined a boxing gym just to try to get in shape. And
nice.
So I'm just trying to find to fall into a little bit of a system. Like it's Monday, I do this on Mondays. It's Tuesday, I do this on Tuesdays. So that's been helpful to try to develop a system. Dragged Under, I love doing it. I hate doing it until I get on stage. I'm sure you guys understand.
Oh, for sure.
You're like,
yeah,
it sucks, dude. Like all the fucking practicing and buying gear and going broke and flights. And like we just did that festival in Kentucky. And so Sean and I, after our last tour, we parked the van in LA. So Sean and I flew down to LA, scooped up the other members and drove all the way to Kentucky. It took us 3 days to get there. We played for 30 minutes, turned around and drove back.
Crazy.
And then just did the same thing for Sacramento.
So Dragged Under, you guys are playing some really big festivals. You're getting really good tours. I mean, tours with The Used and tons of other cool bands. But and if this is too personal, it's okay. But I kind of want to bring it up for people to be aware of the situation of musicians, especially musicians that are trying to make it.
Offender, yes.
So.
I know where this is going. Yeah.
So
an egg-shaped penis.
Let me just stop you right there.
So you guys are kind of killing it. Like you guys are playing in front of thousands of people when you go on these festivals and these tours and stuff like that. You're playing with really big bands. But we had a conversation maybe a few weeks ago where you still say that you guys have made like no money from like take home money from the band. Is that still accurate?
I lost you for a second there. You're back now.
So I'm just saying. My question is,
we had a conversation.
We had a conversation a few weeks ago where you basically said that Dragged Under. Where you said that.
Hold on, there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. Where you said that Dragged Under doesn't make money, and I just wanted you to maybe talk on that for the people watching to really understand like how difficult it is for musicians to actually like to make it and make money in this.
Yeah. I mean, it's so hard because there's like a lot of ways you can approach being a musician, right? Like you can only do things for money, in which case you won't get a lot of opportunities, or you can take every opportunity in which you're spending a ton of money. So like, those festivals we did, the one they didn't, I think we made $975 each for 2 festivals. When everything was said and done, after gas, hotels,
right,
wear and tear on the van, oil change, like we lost probably $800 doing it. But those are the kind of festivals where it's like, you don't say no, because it's like the Danny Wimmer stuff. You're just rubbing elbows with so many important people, and you get to I got to see Pantera. That was pretty sick.
Hell yeah.
So, we're like, it's a free festival. Like, people travel all over to do these things. We get to play in them and offset our costs a little bit. So the band as a business, makes money. Like we go on tour, we make money. The problem becomes, like, especially as you get older, keeping members without paying them. And we pay our members like a little bit every week just to kind of be like, hey, pay your phone bill. Hey, pay for your food or whatever. It's not that much. But that was like a big reason some of those guys quit. Like, we had 3 dudes quit at one time. And the main impetus was, the first thing was I'm a dickhead. But the second thing was they want to make money.
Do you want to go into that? Do you want to talk about that?
I've talked about it a little bit. Like, it's all good. We're all friends with those guys. But that's the truth, is that I think we just have a difference of opinion on a lot of things. And I don't think that Fluff was just like, I'm done with the shit. I'm too old for it. I'm over it. And then the other guys were kind of just like, out of the blue, just were like, we're going to quit. And I was like, oh, okay, sick. So it was a bummer, because we had like a falling out, like a talk in Germany at one of our shows about how just like they didn't like how I was. And you've been in a band with me, like, you guys understand that, like, yes, sometimes it's like there's got to be one person keeping it together, because there is a lot of cats to like herd, like proverbial cats to be like, hey, stop drinking. Hey, no, don't touch that. And like, you're just running around like trying to keep people on the rails a little bit. And when they won't do it on their own, it's like a little bit tough. It's like somebody has to be the fucking dickhead, because no one else is doing anything in the band. And so like, that's what Sean and we've kind of like divided a lot of the responsibility now moving forward, just so that there's like, I think one of the big things was like, I have to take a lot of this weight of the band off of me.
Right.
For me to be like able to do it and not be psycho to you guys, or just like feel like I'm losing my mind all the time.
Right.
That's been very helpful, having like Sean step up and he was always like the dude that was like my like kind of go-to anyway. Fluff did a lot of stuff too, just like clerical stuff, but if you don't have like a couple, like if you don't have everybody like with the similar vision and the same understanding of what everybody wants, like there's no point in having a band. And that's why these dudes, like, you have guys like Jairus Johnson and like Kim Dracula and Nothing Nowhere and Falling in Reverse, where it's like, I am the band. And if you want to be in this band, like, it's my band and you can be here. But then the problem comes back to money, where it's like, I would love to do that, but I don't have the money to pay musicians. So it's tough, dude. Even a band that's doing as much as we are. There's sometimes you'll get lucky. Like, we're taking a tour in Germany next year where they're paying us very well, and we're like, holy shit, this is crazy. But it's because we just finally told our agent, like, we will not come back here if it means losing money. We can't do it.
Right.
And so he started finding us opportunities that make money, and we unfortunately still take an L in the U.S. a lot of the times. Obviously, merch is like the savior of tours. I think we spend our guarantees easily in gas and hotels. And we're only doing one hotel now. Like, since we got new guys, we've like minimized our crew. So now we go out as four or five people, right? Like, the band is a 4-piece right now, plus Justin, who does content and merch. And so he gets paid a salary, but it's been nice because we've only had to buy one hotel room. They don't need to be fancy. Like, we'll pull into like a Motel 6, sleep for 8 hours, get up and go.
Right.
And I think that was a big thing too, was making sure that like we all kind of had a realistic expectation of like what it needs to look like going forward for the band to be profitable and to maintain its own, its own, I don't know the word, but to carry its own weight, we have to operate differently than we had in the past. So, I mean, the biggest thing is obviously merch sales. Like, without being able to sell merch on the road and, being able to like charge $35 for a shirt, it's like, I don't know how bands survive these days.
Speaking of merch, have you heard about this thing going on with Tesseract and their merch?
That dude's a fucking idiot, dude. That dude's so stupid. He's such a dum-dum. I saw Tank, Tank the Tech?
Yeah. We've done live streams with Tank.
Oh, sick. So he's one of my guys now. And he posted, that's the first time I saw anything about it, is he posted like a story, and it was like the tweet, and he's like, there's still time to delete this. And I clicked it and was like, what is this drama? And I couldn't believe what he was saying. I was just like, I was confused that like a member of the band would want to like take food out of the mouth of one of his crew.
Right.
Because he's made,
He was, like, mad.
I don't know too much about it. What essentially was the situation? I mean, he was making too much. And so the drummer wanted a cut or what was it exactly?
He didn't say that, but that's what he meant, I think. Like, he was basically saying like, yo, I've noticed like an indiscrepancy in like music. And it's like, oh, you're fucking Inspector Clouseau. You're so revolutionary. You notice that musicians don't make money. It took you, how long have you been in Tesseract? This is not new. Musicians never make money. We're the last to get paid always. Mm-hmm. So yes, merch people make good money. That's why we're able to take a guy on tour who runs his own business, who has like a girlfriend and like people relying on him, and he's able to come out and go with us because he knows like, yo, that's where I make my money. So one, you have to incentivize people to do that because one, a lot of them are only working a couple months out of the year, and two, that job sucks. Mm-hmm. Like the merch guy is the only guy who's at the thing all fucking day.
On your feet.
Austin's nodding his head because Austin used to sell merch for Rest Your Pose. It's a sucky job, and especially if you're someone like Austin, like you're getting punished. So most people don't have that. But like,
$30K.
yeah, exactly.
Well, we needed to set up a tip fee for you is what we needed to do, clearly.
Yeah, he was mad that like the merch guy was making a lot of money and the band wasn't. And it's like, well, dude, the bottom line is like, this is kind of a thing for people who aren't musicians and don't really know how it works. The band sets the wages for everyone on the tour. Mm-hmm. The buck stops we'll use Falling in Reverse. The buck stops with Ronnie. Mm-hmm. Everything is his decision all the way down, right? From stage moves to fucking light colors to, where the guys on stage stand. Like if you ever notice, he's always the only one on that riser unless they're doing like pyro or something. Every decision stops with the main guy in your band. And so with like respect to how much people get paid, they could easily just say, hey, merch guy, here's how it works. You get $500 a week, plus we split the tips. The band takes 80%, you take 20%. Like you can set that up however you want, just like a relationship that we have, right? You could be like, hey, I want to renegotiate my percentage, or I'm going to pay you a flat fee, and in exchange, I don't want to give you any percentage.
Right.
So like all of this stuff is up for negotiation. So it's a little bit gauche to be in a band and like try to like, I don't even know what he was doing. It almost just felt like he was trying to like, not flex, but like the opposite. Like he was trying to like start a pity party for himself and his band about how little money they make. And it's like, dude, that's not where you're losing money.
Yeah.
Like the tips that the merch guy's getting is maybe not going to make the difference in your band. Like the merch sales are what is going to make the difference. Like he's not getting a piece of that. He's only getting the tips. Mm-hmm. But it's the fucking age old thing, right? We're bitching about bands have to get a merch cut and we don't get any bar, and like it's all this shit where it's never fair to the band and it's never going to be. But pretending like your merch guy's tips like are changing the dynamic or like the trajectory of your band's success financially is ridiculous. But I think he was basically just like, oh, I just want everyone to know, like, you're paying these guys a lot of money, but just so you know, we don't get it. And it's like, oh, cool.
It's almost like an incentive to like pay our merch guy less when you see us on tours.
Straight up. Could you imagine being the merch guy on that tour?
He's just like, what the fuck, guys?
Yeah, seriously.
Why didn't you talk to me? Why'd you post this on Instagram?
My guess is that he probably was like, yo, I'm going to post this. Like, is it cool with you? And the guy was probably like, yeah, whatever. It's cool. But I don't think that dude realized like what a hornet's nest he was kicking.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. I don't think he really meant it to come across the way that it just kind of did.
Yeah, I guess there's a side of it where he clarified that he said he had talked to a few fans that had donated like a large amount thinking it was going directly to the band. And he was like, that kind of sucks for them because they thought it was going to us, but it went to Terry.
Well, I mean, and
it's like, I mean... That's kind of on them it's like if I really liked the restaurant, I gave the guy up front $300 as a tip and just didn't say anything. Wasn't like, can you make sure the owner gets this? I was like, here you go, man. Here's $300.
Yeah, and that is one thing that I will say is like there's two big schools of thought. Is one is just negotiate it differently with your merch guy. Just say like, hey, dude, you're gonna get like you'll get 30%, or like some people only do, like I think when we went out with 10 Years, I was talking to their merch guy and he was saying the band takes all digital tips and he keeps all cash tips, which is like, whatever. I mean, it's not unfair,
but it's an agreement.
And he said yes.
Yeah. Right.
So it's like, maybe I probably would guess that most of the tips are card tips because most people pay with card now these days, but at some point, it probably wasn't like that. 10 years ago, it was probably like, oh, sick. Like, I get to keep the cash tips. It's like, that's all there was. But yeah, I think the landscape changes and, you just have to keep renegotiating stuff like that. But I don't know. I was going to make another point. I guess my point was also, if you have a fucking problem with it, get your fucking ass out there and sell the merch then, you little piss bitch.
You little piss bitch. You little piss bitch. That's great. Yeah, I agree with you. I wanted to read this little thing because I was looking into it this morning, and I found this article they posted. And they said Tesseract vocalist Daniel Tomkins has released a statement regarding the tipping situation, and then quotes, "It's about time Jay starts his own income stream. We've all started doing our own things, and it's not like I'm sharing my OnlyFans money with the rest of the band." And it's an indirect quote, and then that same article commented under it and said, "It should be noted that Daniel Tompkins did not say this." It's like, well, you just lie? The whole article was just like a lie. They directly quoted him, and then in their own comments said, "It should be noted that he didn't say this."
I was going to say, wait, Dan has an OnlyFans?
No,
I got to check that out.
This company just lied for no reason.
Dan's a beautiful man.
This should be noted that I'm lying.
Damn.
So, yeah, I mean, but that is a good point too. Like, I haven't relied on nobody in my band is or has ever, going all the way back to Rest Repose, has ever relied on the band to be the source of income.
Right. Yeah. It's tough.
And we can complain about that all we want. Like, I think musicians do a lot of like complaining and genuflecting, if I'm using that word correctly, but about how we don't get enough. And like, oh, what's the solution? And they talk about like, oh, music unions. Oh, like all this bullshit. And it's just like, none of that's going to work because music, like the music world is too vast. There's too many bands who think they deserve what you have without working for it. There's too many bands out there that think that, like, how many times you've been to a show and it's like the other bands are like, can we borrow something? Or like, or the venue has been like, we didn't clear this much in the bar. Can we have like XYZ? It's just like, there is not a lot of other industries. I think comedy is probably the closest thing to music because there's no real other industry where like the expectation is stop fucking complaining and go work harder. Mm-hmm. And in music and comedy, those are like the two things where you're just like, you hear the stories of these people who like originally were, like they call it barking when you work at the front door and you're like trying to get people to come into the comedy club, of these people like barking at these clubs. Mm-hmm. And they're like, Pete Holmes sounds like one of the biggest podcasts. He had a show on HBO. Like, he's a very, very well-known comic, but like he started out just out front of the comedy club in Boston begging people to come inside. And I think they would let him I think the trade was like, you bark for, 3 hours out front and we'll let you do 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. And so he's like doing 15 minutes to people who don't give a shit at the end of the night. Like, they're sweeping up the peanuts and he's up there on stage telling jokes. Like, but I kind of like that culture in music. I like the grind because I think that it removes like a lot of, not shitty bands, because there's a lot of people that are in shitty bands that make it. But I think a lot of people who are in music for, I don't want to say the wrong reasons, that's not right, but like who are in music because they think it might be an avenue to like money, they get that rude awakening really quickly. And I think that the barrier to entry is necessary so that people like go to music and they're like, oh, wow, this sucks. And you're like, yeah, you sure you want to fucking do this? Because it's not fun. Yeah. And I don't love that we don't get paid. Obviously that sucks, but it's like, where's the money going to come from? Right. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, let's say you're getting like, let's say, Austin, your band is getting, $500 a night to play a show. Tickets are $10. So you got to sell at least 50 tickets just for them to clear. Mm-hmm. Let's say they sell 100 tickets. Now you and the venue are making the same amount of money, right? Like, they get to sell the bar and you get to sell your merch. and they should not be taking a merch cut. That's bullshit. It always has been. But like, where is this extra money going to come from?
Right.
Because they don't
30K in tips, baby.
Yeah, that fucking merch. I get
Bring
him.
it back, man.
But you don't have like, there is no more money to give. Their bar part of it does well, but they still have to pay for the lights in the venue. Like they have to turn the lights on, right? They got to pay their bills. They got to pay their people. You know how expensive it is to employ people?
It's like realistically, there's not a good answer to solve
expensive.
paying musicians more.
Well, and I think the other thing is too is like for every single Post Malone, for every single Doja Cat, for every single Justin Bieber, there's a million people that are just as good who are trying to make money and grind and make it, and it's just not. They just can't. You know what I mean? Like like you said, they're like, where's the money coming from? Like it's almost like this magical like hand reaches down and says, you're chosen, and then pulls you out of the ether of the musician pool.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to that level of making millions and millions of dollars. But that is so incredibly rare. And like, I mean, even like to put it into perspective, like even doing like the Scion stuff, and doing like the Rest Repose stuff we used to do, or doing Dines X Heafy stuff, it's like if I didn't have my own thing, which is, you know, my YouTube channel and the content that I make, I could not afford to live that lifestyle, to make those records, to do those songs. Because like the Scion thing, I mean, sure, you might make 50K from one record, but I spent 50K to make the record. I didn't make money. It was just, okay, I was luckily reimbursed because it's so expensive to do. And it's like, you know, unless you are that huge hit selling, you know, crazy successful band, I mean, they're just like, where's the money? It's like, it's just not there.
It goes back to I think every band just kind of has to have their own side hustle, I guess. Yeah. Of being able to sustain yourself while you're on tour outside of that.
The other thing is, like, the way I feel about like bands making money is how I felt about all of this stuff since the beginning of time, right? Like, it's a hot button topic, but like people talk about like, oh, the wage gap and stuff. And it's like, all right, but you negotiate your salary before you take a job.
Right.
Everybody does. And if you don't, that's your problem. Like, you didn't negotiate your salary. So like when Jared and I started working together, I told him, like, yo, this is how much I make at Positive Grid. And he said, all right, for 2 months, we're going to cut that in half. We'll try it out. And I said, yes. I didn't go online and be like, this fucking guy, he's only paying me half what I used to get paid. It's fucked up. I just took it and went, yeah, let's try it out. Because he understood I'm taking a risk, paying you a flat salary. So like, you got to take a risk and show me why it's worth paying you more. And it worked out and it was great. But like everyone that we've worked with, and even like sound guys, like every time we hire a sound guy, we just stopped working with our old sound guy because he tried to renegotiate his wage. And we just said, dude, we don't have it.
Right.
Like, money doesn't exist for us to give to you. And if it does, we would.
It's not that you don't want to, right?
It
just literally don't have it. Like, it's just not there.
Not at all. If everybody was making enough money, I'd put everybody on like a permanent salary and it'd be fucking awesome. Like, how sick would that be to just be like, I don't work. I tour and then I come home and I just fuck off.
Well, you want everyone on your team to eat. You want everyone to feel
100%.
like they have an incentive, they're happy, you know what I mean? It just makes the whole experience better. So
yeah, and in like the case of Dragged Under, I have made less from the band than everyone else that's ever been in it, ever. And maybe except for like the first iteration, like before we were touring. But like everyone in the band has made something from the band. Mostly just like they take on jobs, right? So for example, Sean, he tour manages. So he gets a certain amount of money a week to do that. We pay the dudes that are playing with us now. They get like a weekly stipend. It's not a lot, but it's something to just be like, yo, here, cover your bills, cover your food. But I am the only one who's never made a dime from the band, and I write all the fucking music.
right.
Me and Hiram write everything. So it's like, it's tough to be like the guy, but that is when these people go into the real world, they'll see what it's like and they'll understand like, oh, I started a business and I don't get to get a paycheck for a long, long, long time. You guys probably felt like that when you started the DickeyDines show and then now the podcast. And these things are like an upfront investment. You lose money before you make money. And then even when it makes money, you're like, okay, well, we need new cameras. We need new mics. We need a new computer. We need this. And it's like every fucking dime goes right back into it until you're like, we have so much money, we can't spend it all this week.
100%.
So then
Yeah.
it's time.
Well, I mean, don't they say that any new business you won't profit in the first 2 years as just kind of like a generalization?
At least.
Yeah.
Depends on what you're doing, obviously, right? That's typical of like hard good companies. So like, there's so many fucking bugs in the shop. There's fucking bugs everywhere.
New vocal
That's
tape.
like, like the little like the zapping. There's like a bug zapper behind.
I was
you.
wondering what that was. Yeah, you got to use some of that Drake Under money to hire an exterminator.
God, well, it's a country. There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
And the house you grew up in, I'm sure it was just like, there's just bugs, dude. You just deal with it.
You tried giving the bugs a per diem?
No, I tried taking their tips away, though. They won't leave.
They got more mad.
Yeah. Yeah, so like what you're saying, that's typical of like hard good companies. Like selling shirts or something, or designing and making a product, right? Like from scratch. Like if you wanted to like start a guitar company, you can talk to any of those guys like Balaguer or like Chapman who started new companies, and I guarantee you they'll be like, yeah, I didn't make anything on this. Most of the times, those people have another job that's paying for that new job.
Right.
That's like the hobby, right? Like, well, yeah, my IT job pays for like the guitars that I'm building. That is how life works. Unless you go to the bank and get like a loan or get like a cash injection or like a private loan from your dad or something. Like, this is just the nature of the business, and music is no different. It's a bootstrapping business where every single person wants to get paid like they have a boss, but doesn't want to have a boss. But that's the other thing you have to realize too, is like in music, we're lucky that we don't have people to answer to. My band is my own band. We show up to the show. I'm a contractor. I set up, I do what I want to do. I play my set, I sell my merch, and I get out. But imagine if you were like this Live Nation stuff is kind of getting weird because they're buying all the venues. And then these agencies are signing deals with Live Nation, basically saying like, okay, like Beartooth, that tour we went on, that was a Live Nation tour. So almost every single venue was a Live Nation venue. And it's like, there's some things that are cool about that because it makes it easier for the bands to get paid. And it like, sometimes they get like an upfront. But they make a deal where they go, okay, we'll only play Live Nation venues now, like in the US or whatever. And it almost becomes now where you're like beholden to Live Nation.
Right. Monopoly.
Well, whoever the conglomerate is that owns the venues, it's like, that's why they're interested in buying the venues, because that's the only way you can control bands. If you own the means of production. And without a place to play, like, what is a band?
That's crazy.
It's just a group of dudes playing music.
Yeah.
So we need that. We need it to be kind of the Wild West and continue to be like, this next bastion of like freedom and just being like, yeah, you show up, do your set. We're not going to tell you what music to write. We're not going to tell you how to play your instruments. Show up and entertain the people and then get the fuck out of here. Because I don't want to be, a union musician. I don't want to work for, a specific, like a director, like these actors have to do. They show up and they get told what lines to say, how to say them. I don't want any of that. I want to come up there and play my songs the way I wrote them, the things I like, and I want to leave, and I want to have nothing to do with anybody else, because especially in music, because there's too many fucking people doing the wrong shit, So it's a little bit like labels in that respect. But even when a label gives you money, like you've seen with Scion, like if they gave you a check for $50,000, you would have been like, oh, yippee, I'm pocketing 25 of this. And then you go make a record and realize how expensive it is to make a record and pay musicians and do promotion and do videos and all this other stuff. And it's just like, it's hilarious how fast the dollar spends when you're a musician.
And then everything that you pocketed is just now gone.
Yeah, you didn't pocket anything. You were like, that's the thing with like even as like a band, we signed our deal with Mascot, and we're happy with it. But I think at the time, like at the beginning, we're like, wow, that's a lot of money.
Yeah. And
then you go make the record, and there's like this weird like back channel where like the producers just go, cool, what are you getting for this record? And you tell them, and they go, sick. All right, well, I'm going to charge you more for this record.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Like,
I mean,
wait.
even it's like not even just music, but even content too. Like obviously we just did the Musician Mansion thing, which is coming out soon. And, I think he froze again.
Stay plugging.
You there?
I lost. There you go. You're
there?
back.
I was about to say,
It's not like content. It's like content too.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, we just did the Musician Mansion thing. Obviously, we had a couple of sponsors, DistroKid and Sweetwater. You know, they gave us, you know, X amount of money, and I ended up spending out of my own pocket half of what they gave me, which was a very large amount. That was just like, well, I'm just now like, I didn't make anything from this. And then I had to write the entire show. I had to book everyone, all the plane tickets. I had to make sure everything was good. And then I had to edit, you know, all the videos. And then now we have to promote it and post it. And I'm 25 grand in debt from doing this. And it's like, well, hopefully people watch it and I make some kind of return from ad revenue. But that's the thing is like, cause we were talking about potentially doing like a season 2. And then I'm just like, well, where's the return? Like who's going to be getting the return? So if I go to a company and I say, hey, can you give me 100 grand to do this? The same as a band would, you know, give me 100 grand to do a record. And if it's like, well, what's the return on it? Cause like for the content, it's like, well, it's just going on your channel. It's like, well, I'm not going to make that back in ad revenue then unless I get 100 million views like Mr. Beast or something. That's insane. So it's the same kind of thing with bands too. You know, it's like, they'll sign to a record label, get 50 grand or 100 grand to do a record. The record doesn't sell. Then they're in debt 50 or 100 grand. And it's just like, there's so many stories like that, you know, that like for every success story, there's 1,000 stories of people just, you know, they just go into debt. They can't return the money. And you know, it's sad.
Yeah. Well, the thing with like, so there's like a bit of a misnomer when it comes to like being in debt to a label. That's the best kind of debt you can have because you have zero obligation to pay it back. So like when we go to the label, we ask for as much money as we can. So unless you think your song will make more money than they're giving you, just borrow as much money as you can. Because the label is taking all the risk in that, right? So you're right. Everything you're saying is valid. I'm just like, for the people out there who don't know how record deals work, they're not that bad. Like it sucks because you'll never make money on that music, but they aren't either. Mm-hmm. You know, like if you're not making money on the music, even after signing to a label, it means they didn't make back the money that they put into it.
Mm-hmm. But then are you not then obligated for like another record to give them to then until you make it back? Or is it just like gone in the ether?
It's gone. Yeah. So, but this is where that's like why a lot of times they'll sign you for like multiple albums. So Dragged Under has a 3-album deal with Mascot Records. This is our last one. The next one we're put out, we're done with them. But they could have looked at the other sales and been like, yo, it's just not worth it. Mm-hmm. Like we're sunk into this already. We're just going to keep collecting revenues, keep collecting stream money from these old songs and try to recover our losses. But that's what labels do, right? They want, like you said, they want one Post Malone pays for the 8 artists that they signed, you know, that did nothing.
Right.
So yeah, it's like a little bit scary to think like, oh, I'm borrowing money, but it's like, yeah, but the label's risking it. They like everybody knows what they're getting from that deal, which is I'm getting money to make records. You're giving me the money and you're owning the music afterwards. But like you said, like if you were the label for Scion, would you be pleased with the performance? As good as the music is and as good as it's done, you're realizing that it costs more to make music than most people who consume it will put back into it. And even it's like, you know, all these people like complain about like Spotify and it's like, well, y'all aren't buying fucking CDs anyway. Mm-hmm. You're not buying like they might buy vinyl. Where are you going to
listen to them? The people don't make cars with CDs anymore. You can't find CD players unless you go and buy them on Amazon or something.
My car doesn't have a CD player, and that's the best thing that ever happened to like streaming is that they really changed the world. Mm-hmm. They just went, yeah, we're done with this shit. But there's also zero investment into that. Like to sell $5,000 in CDs, you have to buy $2,500 in CDs. Mm-hmm. So like, it's not like it's not a zero sum game, but you're definitely, if you embrace a streaming lifestyle, like you'll be better off, I think. But in regards to what you're saying, like with Scion, you spent more than you made, right? Which is common with every musician.
It was about even, and it's crazy that like in my head that's a success. Where it's like if I can just cut even, then that's a success. You know what I mean?
He's just really letting that sink in.
I'm back. Yeah, you're right though. That is a success. Mm-hmm. Like, and that's how a label would think too. Because now, okay, I'm even now. 5 years from now, I'm going to be up 300 big ones.
In 5 years, at $300.
Yeah, for real, dude.
So that's kind of how they think is like, okay, we got back to zero. Now we can focus on like, how do we turn this music into something else. And that's kind of where like publishing comes in and like trying to sell the song to a movie, right? Or like, sync licensing, stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah, anyway, sorry.
I think we need to get the Blade on the Blade movie, and then we'll be solid.
Tony, did I ever tell you that I saw this dude do an acoustic set? It was like a private acoustic set for a family. They like specifically hired him, and he was telling us this story that he had the opportunity for his song to be in a Marvel movie, and his manager tried to negotiate for more, and they just never heard back from them again. What a big opportunity. I'd be so mad if I found out that my manager did that. Like, you renegotiated on Marvel, dude? Your deal.
Yeah, you asked for $1 million, and no, they said $1 million. You said, "How about $1 million and one?"
I want some of the money.
$1,002,002.
You,
Yeah,
dude, that's the type of shit that we talk about all the time. Where it's like there are certain deals you just don't negotiate.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just go, this is pretty sick.
Yeah, how good
like
would that look on your resume forever?
Right. Yeah, the intrinsic value versus like the monetary value, right? And I don't know if we've ever had the conversation, Jared, because I don't know if it's ever come up, but like
the Marvel thing,
there definitely have been moments where I've had artists go, "Do you think this is enough money?" Like, "Oh, it's a big brand, they've got money," and I'm like, "Yeah, but also like, what an opportunity!"
Imagine they come back, you get 2 of these,
right?
Yeah, well, that's another thing, right? It's like obviously these that's the creator marketplace is that they're just like, usually I ask for $1 billion jillion, and I'm like, okay, well, you're not going to get that. So, and if you do, the brand's going to go bankrupt and they're not going to pay you. And then they're not going to ever work with you again.
Right.
So like, why don't we be realistic about what you're asking and we can work with these guys forever.
Yeah.
That's why we did fucking how many Raid Shadow Legends deals?
It's funny. As soon as you said that, the first thing I thought of is like how little I've probably helped Raid and how much they keep coming back.
No, I'm sure you do.
No, obviously they wouldn't come back, but it's still funny.
Yeah.
It's much better to make $500 10 times than make one $2,000 check.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Plus that serotonin when randomly like you want to do Raid, and I'm like, sure.
You're not depressed for that 10 seconds?
Yeah. Like, what a rush.
Weight lifted. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, going back to what you were saying, like it's just hilarious how, and I think a lot of that does come down to like,
it's really hilarious.
Your reliance on other people. Right, like if I had Hiram's
we need to get better
brain,
Wi-Fi in that shop.
I could just fucking put it in here, and then I would go,
bit.
I'm writing music
Hold
myself.
on, wait, you broke up.
Yeah, start over again. It's really funny how...
I was just saying like how much money it costs to make stuff.
Yeah.
But if I had Hiram's brain, I would just fucking put it in here, and then I'd go, I make the music now, and I keep the money.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we are relying on him to some extent, right? To do the record and to produce it and mix it and make it sound sick. I don't know how to do that stuff.
Yeah.
Luckily with you, I mean, I guess you did work with producers too, but like theoretically, you could do a lot of that stuff on your own and pocket those dollars, and that's what guys like Caleb do, right? Caleb Shomo, like he produces all his own shit, he writes all of it, and so at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, maybe it's not always the freshest music on the planet, and he kind of has a formula, and they all kind of sound the same, but that dude's making money. You see the house he just bought?
I'm sure it's nice.
I mean. But it was like I think maybe a year ago I moved to LA, but it's sick. It's a crib.
Hell yeah, good for him, man.
But those guys, respect to those dudes for carving out that space and just going like, this is how I do it.
Right.
I'm not
a real quick Caleb Shome owner.
God, why?
You got to come over soon, Tony, so we can do another Smash night.
That was a bad joke.
Dude, I mean, I live far away now, but absolutely.
I know.
That's a cool thing. You'd be like, oh, I got to go to Jared's for some business.
Some tax write-off.
You have to stay the night there for a couple nights.
Dude, Hiram smashes us sometimes. Just make a lobby and we'll just play with him for a little bit.
Online, yeah.
Yeah, dude, I know. We need to. He was talking about coming out here to do the record, and I don't know if he will, but if he does, we should definitely have you guys out. And then we set up the Smash on this big fucking simulator screen.
Hell yeah, dude.
In the shop, and just
there better be no bugs.
Smoke cigarettes and drink beer.
Dude, yeah, if he comes out, let us know.
Work over there. Look at that guy, dude.
Damn. Sheesh.
The precariously placed golf bag. No, I'm showing the light.
Well, yeah, that's my wife's bag. Like my stuff's all over there, and like the cool.
It's a much funnier setup.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Hers is just chilling back there. I don't want it touching mine.
Yeah, it's the girls get the cootie bag away from my shit.
That's her corner. That's
smells
the
like
only corner in the
perfume.
shop she's allowed to have. It's 14,000 square feet. She gets 100 of it. Anyway.
She's the merch girl for you.
Yeah, exactly. She can keep the tips.
Tony, so we have some questions from our patrons over on Patreon. I wanted to ask you before you go. I don't want to keep it too long. So
cool.
this question comes from Leo Voit, and he says, if there was one band that you could be a part of, what would it be?
I'd be the merch guy for Tesseract.
Yes, there couldn't have been a better fucking time for that callback. Yes. We made 10 of those jokes today. That was easily the best one.
All right.
No, that's a good question. Gosh, I don't know, man. Fuck, dude.
It's tough.
It's funny because I always make these, like, this question should just be one word answer. I should just go Foreigner and we go to the next one. But I always think too much. I'm like, we just saw like Limp Bizkit at Aftershock, and I'm like, oh, I would love to be in Limp Bizkit, but then I'm like, only if I was Fred Durst though, because that dude's just up there talking for 40 minutes. Like everyone else is just like, Fred, please, I've been playing the intro to Break Stuff for 30 minutes.
And you're gonna keep playing it.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think I love being Dragged Under.
I was gonna say, you'd want to be the vocalist of Dragged Under, man.
Yeah, I think the only other thing I would want to do is, like, I would love to be like a country guy. Like, I'd love to be one of these dudes, like young country dudes, crushing it. Like,
so that goes into our next question, which comes from Inferno BL, and he says, "Is the country thing still coming to fruition? And what's that look like?"
I honestly haven't even started it, dude. Like, it's Dragged Under, and obviously I have a child now, and we've just moved. I'm finally, like, literally just last week, like, into the, like, slow part of my year where I have, like, a little bit of time, and we're already scheduling writing the third Dragged Under record. So yeah. I'm just like, I want to do it, but it's also weird. Country writers are weird. Like metal musicians, you know, like, I have access to some of the best metal writers on the planet, like the dudes that write for Spirit Box, the dudes that write for Falling Into Reverse, the dudes that write for what's the big band?
We have Hiram. He does Word Alive. He does Bless the Fall. He does
right.
As I Lay Dying. So
totally.
Yeah.
But I just mean like I can get in the room with any of those guys because I have through BMG, through our publisher. But with country, I can't, because every one of those dudes, all those writers, think that they're about to sell a song to Morgan Wallen tomorrow. Every one of them thinks that, and it sucks because it's like, maybe you will. A lot of them do, right? These fucking country guys are putting 36 songs on a record, so it's like, it's not far-fetched that, like, just the songs you have sitting on your Dropbox file could end up, you know, on a record for one of these big country guys. It is how it works. So I want to do it. I'm planning on doing it. It's part of the reason I moved out here was to just kind of make my life easier. You know, we have a lot of family out here that can rally around my new family, my baby, and help us watch him and help Chelsea with the baby when I'm gone. And part of that is so that I can free myself up to do more music. But yeah, it's slow, man. I'm finding it to be harder to find country writers than it should be. And maybe I just need to stop being a bitch and pick up a guitar and play chords.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now you're living in the country. You can pull from the reality of your situation. You can get inspiration from where you live. So it's true. It's real. We love that. Next question comes from Virtual Boy, and he says, how did the song Hypochondria come to be? At the time that it dropped, I was dealing with an undiagnosed illness. I have since then recovered, but that song really helped me when no one took me seriously. I've also been a hypochondriac throughout my life. So question, how did the song Hypochondria come to be?
I mean, from a lyrical standpoint, it's just like something that I've struggled with too. And luckily I'm kind of over it now, but like, especially when I was a younger man, you know, like you'd maybe spend a night with an unsavory woman and you'd wake up the next morning and it's just like, you'd have like all these fears. And it's
why
silly,
does my crotch burn?
Yeah, it's silly, but like, that's kind of like part of where like my like earliest feelings of hypochondria came from, was just being like, oh, I have AIDS now. And I'm just like, I slept, you know, like
the next morning waking up sweating, I've got AIDS. Oh no, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, so like, it's silly, but it really is where it kind of comes from.
So
just
extreme.
Being like, you know, you wake up the next morning, yeah, like you said, you're like, oh, I don't know, that freckle wasn't there before.
Classic AIDS symptom.
That was a big part of it, but also just, yeah, dealing with like, just going through life dealing with stuff where I'm like, oh, I don't know why I do that with my neck, or like I don't know why I feel like I have the need to like flex my arms really tight, or like, you know, why I feel like they need to push the tongue to the side of my mouth against my teeth. It's just things that I do. And I think it just comes down to Tourette's, to be honest, like undiagnosed Tourette's. But yeah, just that feeling of being like, I can't physically point out what's wrong with me. I just know that I do things other people don't do.
Right.
And I see them. And so that was kind of where the impetus of the song came from. It wasn't so much being told I was like, oh, you're fine. It was more just about being like,
am I fine?
Yeah, I think if I went to the doctors, they would just be like, yeah, I don't know. You're just different, you know? Like,
well, the crazy thing about anxiety is that it can literally cause so many physical symptoms, you know, to where you could literally feel like you're having a heart attack. You're going to pass out. You're sweating. You can't catch your breath. Like, panic attacks are very real. And so when those things happen, especially if you're not used to them, it can feel like you're dying, like you're literally about to die. And so it can definitely be very scary. Tristan Schultz says, what other career options do you have if music doesn't work out?
I mean, the business that I do now, obviously the agency, I can't not do. I think if I want to continue to maintain my lifestyle, I have to do that. So the agency is the number one thing. That's where I make most of my money. I have a printing business, right? We do like large format printing. So we print like backdrops for bands. I print like all the Trey's stuff. I printed something for like Power Man 5000. So like bands will just randomly hit me up and be like, I need a backdrop. I got your number from so-and-so. So that's a big part of my business. We also do like flags and like tent tops and shit like that.
PrettyGoodShop.com, by the way, link in the description.
Pretty good.
Use
pretty good
code
shop
PowerMan 5000.
Use code no tips for the merch guy. The PrettyGood.shop is new. Like that's like, you remember Shithead Steve?
Yeah.
Do you follow that guy?
Yeah.
That's kind of like, ever since I saw like his stuff, I'm like, this is funny shit. I just want to make shirts that are dumb. So that's the newest one. I don't make a lot of money from that just yet. I made a couple $100, but yeah, PrettyGood.shop is like my meme t-shirt.
Which is also where you can find DickeyDines merch.
Yeah.
Recently released. Go check it out.
Yeah. And some Jared Dines merch. That's kind of like, I think what the end goal would be like what we're doing for you, like fulfillment for different shops.
Okay.
Would be cool. Cause I bought those direct to garment printers, and they're basically just like actual printers, but they're huge. And you just like put a shirt, like you would put a piece of paper in, you put a shirt in, and it prints on the shirt.
Yeah.
It's fucking tight. It's crazy. Like the world we live in where you're just like, oh, I just print on shirts. It's gnarly.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are my three big ones is like obviously the merchandising stuff, the branding stuff, and then the talent agency is the big one. But Dragner went away tomorrow. I think all I would do is sleep better.
Nice.
Don't get me wrong. I love doing it, but that is the truth. It's
It
like,
can be stressful.
It's a testament to how much, if anything, you like the music because of how much you have to sacrifice to make it work.
Yeah.
how much I love playing. Like, there's really nothing like playing. I don't give a shit about like writing music. That's not fun for me.
Give a shit about writing music.
I don't really get. I get a little bit of a rush when it comes out, like when we release a record or whatever, like release a single. But there's nothing like playing shows. Like we play a show like Hellfest, and you get up there and there's like 15,000 people, and you're just like, whoa.
It's pretty crazy, yeah.
15,000. That's a hard to fathom number in front of you.
Yeah, it was like
so sick.
Did you have a moment? Because like when I played with Breaking Benjamin, it was 15,000 as well. Is it kind of like disassociating for you? Because for me, it was
100%.
where I just like I would
100%.
find one person in the crowd who was having a lot of fun, and then that one person was just how I saw the entire crowd. Was this one guy?
Yeah,
you know what I
your
mean?
safety totem for the night.
That was,
freak
he was
out
my
and you look at that guy.
he was my
He's like,
safety guy. I was like, yeah, we're rocking, and then like everything else disappeared.
and that guy went home. And he's like, the guitarist would not stop staring at me. I thought he was pissed off at me or something. Big eyes, just like about to have a heart attack. And this guy's like, me?
You're not going to have sex with me.
He's hitting people. Is that guy looking at me?
But did you notice that? Did you notice that when you play in front of big people, you kind of just it goes away? Yeah, just really large people.
Big fat guys.
You know,
are just like,
it's funny. It's almost more like that when we play in front of a small crowd.
Okay.
Like when we're playing in front of a room, we're like, this room's kind of thin. Like I'll just lock in on the people having fun. And I'll try to be like there was a girl in Sacramento. It was a good show. It was a sold out show, but I just remember being like, I'm giving all the attention to this girl because she had like our logo like painted on her face, you know, like she brought like a sign and shit like that. And I'm like, wow, that's cool. Like I'm going to give as much of my attention to this person. Like you said, like you locked in with that dude that was rocking with you. But yeah, I definitely notice like on big stages, I almost won't notice anyone. Like dude, the dudes will do that. Like Sean or whoever will just be like, yo, did you notice like the dude in the front like this? Or like someone like, yo, did you see that blonde girl right in the front or tits out or whatever? You know, just because they'll catch things where they're like distract them during the set. And I think that what I'm doing is a different level of like mental commitment to, because they have to think. They have to like, okay, this fret, you know, like a pinch harmonic right here. Like playing the guitar is a little bit more mathematical than being a front man, where you run around and go and like, you know, I'm more thinking before the set, like what am I going to climb on, or like looking for opportunities, like at Louder Than Life. I just was like, this camera guy was there the whole time, and I finally just like grabbed his camera from him and just like pointed it at the crowd, and it was just like looking for stuff to do, or like the video of me doing the bowling thing,
which is funny, by the way.
Just looking for like, well, thank you. I'm just looking for opportunities.
Yeah.
You know, where I'm like, what can I do that's fun? So I'm not really locking in on anyone in the crowd in particular unless someone's being real odd. Like if I lock in on you, it's probably because you're bothering me.
It's a sea of movement. There's one guy.
Yeah, or they'll be like, I'll be like, did you guys see the guy eating a hot dog on the rail
He's
or
high as
whatever?
fuck. Doesn't even know that there's a band playing. He's got his back turned.
Unfortunately, we tend to notice like the people who are not having fun more than the people who are.
Sure, yeah.
Which sucks because it's like, I don't want to be thinking about you. Like, you don't deserve my attention.
Yeah.
So that's when, like you said, we try to like shift and be like, who is fucking rocking? Aren't you? Like, throw the horns up at you. Like, you know, like they can tell you're looking at them. And those are cool moments for them where they feel recognized, where they're like, dude, the singer Dragged Under saw me fucking singing his music or whatever. And so we try to give that back to the fans. It's literally like the most interaction we'll have with them all night.
Right. So my next question is, how long is the mullet going to grow?
Dude, I was just talking to my wife about this the other night where I was like, this is the longest my hair's ever been.
It's pretty long. Also, what's your hair care routine?
I mean, not much, to be honest. I shampoo and conditioner, and every now and again I'll use like what's called Moroccan oil.
Okay.
I lost you guys.
The Moroccan
oil. Moroccan oil.
And then I just take a big shit.
Hell yeah, dude.
I lost you guys for a second there. I don't do much. The Moroccan oil is like a game changer because it makes it smell great. But
Nice.
I don't know if it does anything to my hair.
For sure. Well, Tony, we don't want to keep you too long. We've been about an hour. So my last question for the night, who are you voting for in 2024?
My feelings won't be hurt.
I'm just kidding. Tony, thank you so much for joining us. Really do appreciate it. I want to come out and see your new place. I really do.
Please, dude. Honestly, we got
awesome.
guest rooms. Got the whole shop. You guys can sleep in the shop with the bugs.
Hell yeah. As long as I get the electric swatter.
Bro, you got a quota
Well,
to
it's not
fill
nice-
to mention
yeah,
the
we got-
shop? Is it endorsed?
Yeah, it's the Pretty Good Dot Shop. But yeah, no, it's great out here, man. You guys would love. I mean, you've been out to Walla Walla. You guys have been here.
Yeah. It's a nice place. I like it. I mean, that
It's
restaurant we went to
cool.
is really nice too. I don't remember what it's called.
It's called the Onion John.
The place we went to where there's that one show that we didn't play because it was so bad, and then we took like the 3 fans that showed up to that restaurant. Remember? Do you remember that? Do you remember that?
Yeah, that was awkward.
That restaurant was sick.
Yeah, it was. We went to
God.
the venue and they didn't have like a PA system.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that was in Pasco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
I
God!
got cut by
fucking
glass in the
totally
parking
forgot
lot.
about that.
Yeah.
So funny enough, I'm going there tonight. It's called Wingman's.
Okay. Hell yeah.
And that's where we do trivia on Tuesdays. So I'll be there tonight. I'll report.
Dude,
What
next
a
time you have a
trip.
trivia night, we'll plan it. Maybe in like a month or something, a couple months. We'll come out and
Yeah,
do trivia
dude,
night.
fuck yeah.
It'll be fun.
That'd be so sick.
fun. Take a
It'd be
little-
so good to have you guys out here.
Take a
try
little
to ride
road
a horse.
trip.
Yeah, that'd be a blast.
Go. We'll do what country people do. We'll go punch a cow or something.
Yo, you got any country aliases in the works? Young country or
I
something?
just stole, honestly, like on TikTok, I just go by Coyote Brown.
Okay.
I just stole I was like, yo, your first name's Killer. You got cool last name.
That is what,
stole my wife
when we were
my
talking about it
son's names.
earlier. I was thinking in my head, I was like, Coyote actually would just be like a sick country artist name.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we gave it to him, because we were like, if he does something cool, I don't want him to have to like make up a name.
What about like Tony Coyote? There you go.
That's a little cartoony.
Like Wile E. Coyote. Yeah, true.
Will.e.coyote.
Will.e.
All right, Tony. I love you, man. It's good to talk to you. Thank you guys.
Thanks for being here,
thank you so much for doing this. And we'll get together very soon.
All right, y'all be good.
All right, take care, man. Enjoy the shop.
Dude.
See ya.
Later. All right, everybody. Thank you again, Tony, for joining us. And now let us get right into the after show.
It's time for the after show.
Cue the dancing skeleton.
Cue the dancing skeleton.
Did that not pass the funding? I put in a request to get a dancing skeleton.
Oh, I guess not. All right, everybody, welcome to the after show. This is where we interact with our patrons over on Patreon. If you want to join us on Patreon, we would really appreciate it. And we read your comments and we read your questions. We answer them live on the podcast for every after show that we do on every podcast. You also get a ton of other perks as well. If we get to 500 patrons, which I think we're almost halfway there, me and Austin will be doing a 5-song EP. Yes. So if we get to 500 patrons, you will be getting new music from us. So go check out the Patreon, patreon.com/DickeyDines show. Link in the description below. Let's jump into the after show. So first we have Jacob Batelli that says, would love to see some this versus that content with metal or just music in general, like Beatles versus Rolling Stones, etc. if you can.
Oh, interesting.
It'd be fun.
Yeah, I'm totally down for that.
Like almost like a would you rather, but like bands or whatever.
I like the versus aspect.
Be pretty cool.
It'd be cool. Will we do like a bracket where at the end you like narrow it down to one, or is it just a bunch of 1v1s?
Probably a bunch of 1v1s, I imagine. Unless you do the same genre. Then you can narrow it down, I think, to a bracket. Otherwise, it would be like, Led Zeppelin and Avenged Sevenfold. It's like, well, a little different. Next from Matthew Davis, he says, Austin, have you ever considered polishing your clean vocals and putting them to use? Roasted, by the way. And, and then he says, Jared, have you ever considered doing another melodic EP like The Light? Still my personal favorite from your gallery. Austin?
Well, first of all, you could still polish a diamond, so
very true. Very true.
Yeah, no, actually, I put in a lot of effort into like learning how to sing better, like over the years, and I just haven't done anything with it yet. But yeah, totally. I think there's actually a few things I have been working on, but they're just not into the world yet. So yes would be the answer.
100%. And same, yeah. I have a lot of music I want to write, and it's just finding the time to do it and prioritizing my other work to do, and then eventually doing it.
Dude, speaking of progress, there was I don't even remember who it was from. There was a song you showed me earlier this year that I was like, who's singing on this? This is like solid. And you're like, oh, it's me. I was like, what the fuck? This is like crazy how like good you got at singing.
Thank you. Yeah, I would love to do more for sure. This question is for me. It says, Jared, you've mentioned a few times you're diabetic. How has that affected your life when it comes to touring or just in general? Yes, I'm a diabetic. I have been for 21 years, type 1, that is. And touring, it's not terrible. I usually just make sure I'm okay. I take care of myself. Make sure that I have, juice or something, or, constantly checking. I think the one thing I did notice that really does suck though is that before a show, you always want to make sure that like your blood sugar levels are good. But when I play a show, I have this huge spike of adrenaline and it raises my blood sugar. So like before a show, I could be like good and ready to go. And then after the show, my number's like 350 after eating nothing. Like it could be like 100. And then after the performance and like, which is crazy, because you're running around sweating and for 30-45 minutes dancing around and exercising, it just skyrockets. So that was really annoying to deal with, but other than that, it's really not that bad. I try to take care of myself. This next one comes from Tough Dudes Tony. He says, question for Austin, what's the status on physical copies of Facing the Unknown? I've scoured the internet and have yet to find one, unfortunately.
Oh, it's a fun question. Those never got put online, I don't think, so that's probably why you can't find it.
What is Facing the Unknown? What is that?
That's the From Heroes to Legends.
From Heroes to Legends record?
The one that you're on the album cover of. That one we pressed physicals, and I actually still have probably like 10 of them left, honestly. So where you live, maybe I could just fucking send you one.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, I'd rather people that give a fuck about the record have it than be like, oh, could I make $40 from this?
Tony, message us on Patreon, and
let me know.
We'll see if we can get that to you. This one comes from Rage Mage. Says, "Hey Austin, can I get a Screech?"
A Screech?
A Screech. Yeah, a Screech. I think it's just one of them. One of them skeeches.
Is it gotta be high?
I mean, it could be. You ready? 3, 2, 1. Fantastic. Would y'all do a food challenge where you guys do some sort of blindfold challenge of selected gross foods? A no barf challenge, if you will.
No barf challenge? Damn, I'm really good at those challenges if the condition is that I can throw up.
Yeah, right.
I'll eat anything if I can throw up after.
It's like, wait, how do I know that I'm going to throw up or not until I put the thing in my mouth?
That's when the real tragedy hits, is when your body realizes what you've done to it and it starts to digest those things, and it's like, whoa, what's inside me right now?
Yeah, for real. Let's see. Epic Killer 65 says, "In your formative years, what was the hardest you struggled with practicing your instruments, and what was the thing that pushed you through or made it click in your mind?"
You're trying to learn how to tunnel throw. You remember that era?
Yeah.
Every day I just be like, oh,
yeah.
Oh. I just sound like a goat that was just being like picked on.
I remember, dude. I remember.
That was the longest technique to figure out for me. And it sucks now because it's so easy to do, but it was just like, there was nobody doing it at the time. It was just like Dickie Allen and Travis Ryan had like, look what I can do. There was no tutorials or anything. It was kind of just figure it out.
Right,
I tried for so long, and I finally got it. That was my biggest hurdle is vocally.
Mongolius asks, "What was the closest you guys ever came to quitting the music industry?" I don't know. I don't know if I've ever gotten to that point of wanting to quit. For me, it was always just like, I'm going to make it work no matter what.
Yeah, it's like things have always gotten hard and been hard in music. But yeah, I don't think I ever had like a tragic moment where I was like, I'm giving up music.
Yeah.
There's, I don't know, plenty of other things, but music has always been unwavering because I was making music well before I was making any type of money. And so it was never about like, oh, if I'm not making $1,000 for this song, then I can't do it. I've always wanted to do music. I could feel that for touring. Maybe there's a couple moments where you're like, is this worth doing? But as far as music itself, no, not once.
Elijah Dudis asks, "What is your fondest DickeyDines show memory?"
Ooh, that's a cool question.
Yeah, there's a lot.
One that always comes to mind immediately, I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's like a top tier one, was the firework war video we did.
Okay.
Yeah, there's just so many good moments in that video, and I like cry laughing thinking about Tony had just bought those like Balenciaga shorts or whatever, or not Volcom. They were Volcom shorts.
Yeah.
Because Balenciaga's not a brand.
Hole.
I shot because he had like a cardboard shield he was trying to use, and I was shooting the Roman candles at the ground so it would bounce under it. Like the first time we did it like burned a hole straight through his brand new shorts, and he was like flexing them up, like, dude, I got these brand new shorts. They just instantly melted to his skin. There's some good moments in that video.
I think for me, there's so many. There's so many, but I mean, I like the early ones you did where it was like we'd go outside and we'd do like little gross food challenges, or we'd throw darts at a board, or we would blind taste gross food or
tomato soup slip inside.
yeah, or like I don't know. There's just so many, and they're all so different. Right, because like a lot of the dual vocal covers we used to do were so fun, and we'd stay up until 3 or 4 in the morning pissing off our roommates to do those, and they were those were a blast. So much fun.
Dude, the vocal covers are great.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Let's do one more here. FDDNM says, "Let me know how much you agree with this. For mixing, it seems to me that it's less about the monitoring equipment, sound treatment, and more about understanding how the mix translates from your speakers, headphones onto other devices. I would stress over my listening environment having these issues, but it seems like it's not that important. But the pros and tutorials never mention that type of thing that I've seen. Thoughts?" I think you can do a good mix in a bad environment, but you have to test it. I think you have to kind of do the car test. You have to do, if that's what you're kind of asking, I'm assuming. It definitely helps to understand your environment, because that's the thing is like for me mixing, I don't have a good setup. I don't have great speakers. I don't have a soundproof room. I don't have paneling or anything like that. But I know that if it sounds like this in this room, it's going to be good in everywhere else. So understanding the room you're in, I think, is very important over having like super, super, super good room. Is just knowing that like, oh, well, if my monitors are sounding too bassy or whatever, but in everywhere else it's fine. If they sound a little bassy or whatever here, that's good. That's what it needs to sound like. That's what I've always kind of
make sure it passes the AirPod and the car test. If it sounds good on both those things, that's like what's important, because there's always going to be comments that are like, oh, this mix is the low end's missing. There's always going to be stuff like that. You could get it perfect and then now it's too overproduced. So there's I don't think that worrying about that type of feedback is necessarily important. I think what you're doing is good. Like you said, the environment doesn't necessarily you don't need the best equipment ever. As long as it sounds good on your headphones and in your car, I think it's passed all the tests it needs to pass.
I do agree. Okay, well, thank you guys so much for dropping your comments and your questions for the after show. Again, if you want to be part of the after show where we read your comments and questions, go to the link in the description and join us on Patreon. Also, I'd like to point out that we now have the names, which is a perk on one of the tiers on our Patreon. You get your name behind the wall if you sign up under a certain tier. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
pretty cool.
Got 6 of them up there already.
Be sick to fill out that wall.
And like I said, we hit 500 patrons. We're doing an EP, 5 songs, doing it ourselves, vocals, heavy, whatever. We're getting close. So if you want to go help us out to get to that goal, that would be awesome. Link in the description below. And we also have merch. You can check that out. Link in the description also for that, which is also Tony's the prettygood.shop, I think is what pretty good
t-shirt pretty.
So yeah, you can get some merch, you can get some extra perks on Patreon, and I think that's about it for now.
I think it's half off bugs right now too on the website. So if you hurry, you can get a sick deal.
You might get a Tony shop bug in your order.
Yeah, get packed with a little gnat in a baggie. It's like the Sweetwater candy.
Like the Sweetwater candy.
One gnat.
It's like a little bug. All right, thank you guys. See you later.
Bye.